Well, good afternoon, Vernon. I'm honored to be here. I have never lived in Vernon, but I have been visiting very regularly since 1986 when my parents moved here. And so whenever I come to Vernon, even though I didn't grow up here, I grew up in Williams Lake, graduated from high school there in 1985, and then my folks moved to Vernon. So I've been here many, many times, and very honored with the invitation to be with you. And I want to thank Heather and all the other organizers, and thank you, Darlene, for the introduction. I think the hardest thing, the most difficult thing about the 2 weeks to flatten the curve has been the past 20 months. Just recently we had our Remembrance Day ceremonies everywhere, all across Canada. I know you had them here in Vernon as well. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten, or maybe some of them never learned, the whole point of the freedoms that our soldiers fought for and died for. And a lot of people have forgotten, or perhaps never learned about the tyranny that our soldiers fought against. My grandparents suffered under 5 years of Nazi occupation in the Netherlands. Brutal, tough times. We fought and we vanquished Nazi Germany regime that took power January 30th, 1933. And one of the first things that the new regime did was they removed the freedom of speech. They removed the freedom of association. They removed the parental rights to choose what your kids are doing and who they're hanging out with. It was mandatory for the kids to be in the Hitler Youth. That was a violation of parental rights. They placed restrictions on religious freedom. They pursued a eugenics program to sterilize and euthanize and murder handicapped people. They took away the rights and freedoms. And when we went into war, it was to fight for the free society that Canada was at that time, and that I think to a large extent remained for decades. But what's been happening the last 20 months, we need to remember the lessons of history. We need to remember that governments never take away rights and freedoms without providing a pretext, without providing a nice sounding reason. Yeah. And it was the same thing in Nazi Germany. In February of 1933, there's a young communist from the Netherlands who set fire to the German parliament, the Reichstag, set fire to the Reichstag in February of 1933. And Hitler and the Nazis seized on that and said, we're in danger of a communist takeover. There's these dangerous communists. And so they used that as a pretext, as an excuse to pass a law to outlaw the political parties they didn't like, and to suppress all of the freedoms and to ban all of the other parties. And so there's a pretext there. There's always a pretext. The communists who ruled in Russia and the Soviet Union from 1917 for decades up until around 1990, they ruled there. They took away the private property, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, attacking the family unit. Why? All of that was with the pretext, we got to build the workers' paradise. We have to create a paradise on earth. Therefore, we're going to violate rights and freedoms. You've got right-wing dictators, Franco in Spain, Mussolini in Italy, Pinochet in Chile. They violate rights and freedoms on what pretext? Oh, we got to fight the communists. We got to stop communism, right? The theocrats who run Iran, their pretext for violating freedoms is that, we need to please God and have this Islamic State. So there's always, government has a right to read your emails because we got to fight terrorism. So there's always a pretext, always a pretext. And now the pretext, we've had 20 months of violations of our charter rights and freedoms, our right to move and travel, our right to assemble, our freedom of association, which is something as basic as being able to have Christmas dinner with your parents, to spend time with your friends in person. These are massive violations of our rights and freedoms. And now it's gotten worse. A violation of the charter freedom to bodily autonomy, which the Supreme Court of Canada has upheld as a fundamental freedom that's protected by the Charter. We've got a new brochure, the Justice Centre, hot off the press 2 days ago, Your Body, Your Choice. And we got stacks of these over under the white tent. I took 2,000 to Vernon. I'm not taking any back to Calgary. Want everybody to grab a stack. So now we've had the attacks on our rights and freedoms on the pretext that we've got a very scary virus. And so, of course, it's a different pretext from all the other ones that I've mentioned. They're all different. I'm not saying the pretexts are the same. They're all different. But there's a common element there. There's always something put forward as the excuse to violate our rights and freedoms. So what do we do? Well, first of all, what you're already doing, to speak out, to exercise your freedom of speech, exercise your freedom of association, exercise your freedom of peaceful assembly, exercise your right to bodily autonomy. Because our rights and freedoms are like a muscle. If you don't exercise at all, right? If you were to spend all your time just sitting on the couch watching TV, it's going to hurt. Your muscles are going to atrophy. And it's the same with our rights and freedoms. We need to keep on exercising these rights and freedoms. We're taking the governments to court, the Justice Centre is. We've taken the Trudeau government to court over the quarantine hotels, the prison hotels. That's now before the Federal Court of Appeal. We are, as soon as the government clarifies what the bad regulations are, we're going to sue over the federal travel regulations. We're waiting for November 30th. Here in BC, we're going to hold Premier Bonnie Henry and her lovely assistant John Horgan to account. And our staff lawyers are currently working on the court action that's going to be filed in BC. We've taken Ontario to court over vaccine passports. We are hiring more lawyers. We had a new lawyer, Charlene Lebeau, has started in BC. We've got new lawyers starting in Alberta and Ontario, and we continue to hire. And I deeply appreciate, I know many of you are Justice Centre supporters, and thank you for your support. Every bit helps, whether you're giving us, $50 a year or $1,000 a year, it doesn't matter. We got 10,000 Canadians that are donating at different levels of support. You put it all together, and we've got a team of 12 lawyers currently, and that's going to grow very soon to larger numbers. So thank you for your support. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee what the outcome will be in these court cases. What our goal is to put forward the best possible cases. We get world-renowned medical experts. We had Dr. Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford University in California is a witness. We've got Dr. Bridle. We have others. We're also representing doctors who are being persecuted, like Dr. Charles Hoff, being persecuted by their own college. This is the death of science when you've got doctors that are being persecuted by their own colleges simply for arguing the science. And this also is not new in history. When the Nazis were perpetuating all of they called their racial theories scientific. And there's lots of medical doctors that were on board with that, and they loved the eugenics program. The communists talked about their scientific socialism. So they say if you're against communism, you're anti-scientific. So nothing new here, folks. It's that same theme. And when you've got colleges of doctors and physicians, the colleges of physicians and surgeons prosecuting their own doctors, this is a war against science. So what do? We keep on with the support, keep on supporting the organizations, whether it's the Justice Centre, whether it's other groups that are also worthy of support, keep on doing that. But ultimately, whether we win or lose in court, we've got to change public opinion. So take a stack of brochures, give them to people, give them to everyone you know, put them in mailboxes. When you put them in the mailbox, put them so that they're sticking out, so somebody's going to notice and take them. Don't put them inside and close the lid, because then they might sit there for months on end. And I love Ted's talk. There is hope. There is a new dawn. We are the light in the darkness. We are going to win. We're going to win because truth always beats out the lies. We're going to win because goodness always triumphs over evil, and because justice always triumphs over the suppression of our rights and freedoms. Now, we need to cultivate the virtue of perseverance, because it is up to us how long this takes. The medical tyranny, the medical dictatorship, the violation of our charter rights and freedoms, it is up to us. The harder we work, the more that we do, the shorter that time span is going to be. And so this is not going to, I fear it's not going to be days or weeks. It's going to be months and years. We have to persevere, and we have to remember that quitters never win and winners never quit. So truth will triumph over lies, goodness will triumph over evil, and we are going to continue in this fight because it's better to die standing than to live on your knees. Thank you very much.